and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Edge. My name is Svetlana Donova, and on today's episode I'm talking to Grant Rushmere, founder of BOS Iced Tea. Grant, BOS was founded in 2009, and at that time there were a fair number of iced teas on the market, but none of them had that uniquely African brand and African ingredients. The amount that the company has actually grown over the past 4 years is actually a testament to the fact that that niche was very well identified by you. Tell me about how you got the idea.
Well, African branding and African, kind of the essence of Africa and its spirit has always been something that has appealed to me. It's something that runs right through my sort of lifestyle and my home design as well. And I felt that the opportunity was there within the iced tea space to bring something that had that unique African spirit. And we were using Rooibos as our base, which is only grown exclusively only in the Western Cape of South Africa. So there was an opportunity to bring something for me that carried the African spirit in a contemporary way, and something that also linked in with a universal sort of optimism and a universal spirit that other countries around the world would find appealing. And I think that's a quality in South Africa that we have, of an open friendliness, that a sort of vibrance, a brightness about us. And the whole thing came together in the packaging, in the word BOS, which is a fantastically colloquial word, carries the word bush, and it also means, go BOS, as in crazy. So there was a lovely opportunity for me in that it carried Rooibos, and it carried this way of communicating that we would use in the future, something that was playful, something that wasn't taking itself too seriously, something that was joyful.
Tell me about BOS in those early days. What did the company look like?
Well, there were 5 of us, myself and my founding partner, Richard Bowsher, whose farm, Klip op Mekaar, provides all our tea, and our first 3 or 4 salespeople, and accounts. So it was quite a strange experience sending our sales staff out on that very first day. Nobody knows what this product is, the little sales box, and us waiting, waiting at home to see what the reaction was out in the market. We had no clue. And luckily for us, our intention, the way we want the product to carry forward, was exactly how it was received. And so those first days, immediately there was a positive reaction.
Okay, now I want to ask you about the distribution, because you're talking about those sales guys with their little packets.
Yes.
And I remember the first time I had a BOS iced tea was in 2010, and it was in a salad bar in Sandton, Johannesburg. And I think they were running a promotion and they were giving it away. I think by the end of that year, 2010, you guys were in over about 1,000 outlets, including all of the major food chains like Pick n Pay and Spar. How easy was it to tap into that distribution network? Did you face any kind of a resistance from the established brands, from the retailers?
From the beginning, there was a lot of goodwill. We were seen, I think, from our competitors as a brand that was bringing innovation to the space. Yeah. We were bringing premium, and I think that from that point of view, we weren't seen as a threat. We were seen as a positive influence. We were very lucky in that there was a sentiment within the retailers and within our other clients that there was a real latent need for South African products, proudly South African, something that was local, that ticked the trend boxes in terms of health and lifestyle. And we, because of our packaging, we had a really good face, if you like, and something that the retailers were very keen to take on board.
You touched on that trend, the consumer trend for healthful products, and I really think that BOS Iced Tea entered the market at an extremely lucrative time, because you really were on that curve as consumers had a bigger demand for organic products, for sustainable products, for healthy products, food and drink wise. But at the same time, iced tea is still a very small market in South Africa compared to globally. I think it's something like 70 million rand a year or so in sales here compared to developed markets.
If you look at it on a global stage, and this influenced our decision in terms of the category that we launched in, but globally iced tea accounts for 8% of all soft drinks drunk, so it's a massive market, mostly driven by US consumption and Asian consumption, but even in Europe, it's a big product because it carries all those healthy properties. Tea carries antioxidants, our own Rooibos, fantastic essential minerals, electrolytes, loads of proven health benefits. So it carries that health, ticks that health box. Yeah. But in South Africa, it has grown. It's growing at sort of 10% per year, and I think it's set to grow at a faster rate going forward because we've always followed world trends, and I think there is a kind of softening of demand. There is an awareness even amongst children around carbonated soft drinks and sugar, and that waning demand will ultimately end up in health products like iced tea.
Last year you expanded globally.
Yes.
Into 2 European markets.
Yes.
Tell me about that, and also tell me about why you chose to expand into Europe first as opposed to an Asian market, which has quite a lot of growth potential, and also tea is very popular in Asia.
Well, we chose to launch in Belgium and Holland. Both of these, together the Benelux iced tea market is worth $1 billion. They drink, for instance, in Belgium, 10 litres per person per year of iced tea against South Africa's 700, 800 milliliters. So it's a massively big market. And what appealed to us about those two places is that, on the practical side, it's the same time zone. Yeah. I think we have a very great affinity to be very comfortable in a European culture, continental culture, so we understand each other. The Dutch and the Afrikaans is there, and the Flemish in Belgium, so the understanding of our word BOS and our kind of vibe. And they were geographically very small countries, are very small countries. So you literally move from one major city to another in an hour. And given that our marketing, our accent on marketing is very direct, very much in the physical realm, our way of connecting with our consumer is going to be that much easier.
Okay, now let's take it closer to home. You are on the doorstep of a continent which is about to launch into its economic growth decade, yes, some might say. Tell me about your plan to enter Africa.
We are waiting until the correct environment becomes available for us. That would be the retailers and South African retailers are moving, as we know, widely through Africa, and until we find the right partner, because I think in all of these, when you say, go to this country or that country, what's very, very key is that your partner, your distribution partner in that territory is spot on. And so when that opportunity arises, when we find a partner, we will move in that scenario. It's very difficult for us to, at this young stage, we're not big enough to be able to go there ourselves and set up our own company. We rely on a partner in that territory. And when that becomes available, we'll move for sure.
I want to speak to you about one of the key things to any entrepreneur, which is the funding that takes place at the beginning of the business and its stages during the business's growth in order to spurt that next growth phase. One of the key points in BOS has been the venture capital injection from Alex Ferguson and Remco. Will you tell me a bit about that and also what it meant for the business, what it allowed you to do?
Well, we started the business, I mentioned my founding partner, Richard Bowsher, and myself, we self-funded our beginning. And the growth was quicker than we expected. And so we were faced with the choice of going with that momentum and then attracting investment, or slowing it down and growing organically. And we just decided to go with the flow, if you like. And we were very lucky in that in Venfin, which is the investment vehicle of Remgrow, specifically for South African startups, had come across our product. Their vice chairman, Joe Kieser, who himself has a very interesting brand background, started working at Coca-Cola, had a phenomenal design brand business called Pantograph Media, which did a lot of the Remgrow brands and Richemont brands internationally. And so he had a brand love and a beverage background. So he led the engagement from that side. I happened to be a friend of Alex Ferguson's son, and so I had access to Sir Alex through that friendship, and he's a keen investor. And around that time, we were looking for capital. We were lucky to be able to attract two fantastic, one in Sir Alex Ferguson, of a global name, an iconic figure, and then in Venfin with the obvious association with Remgro and their ability to guide and their experience in both locally and internationally to guide a young company through the challenges that we were going to face. At the same time, we were able to attract investment from a person like David Evans, who's now, Dave Evans is our Chief Executive Officer. He also approached us at that time. So there was a wonderful collection of venture capital, an individual like Sir Alex Ferguson, and then a person like Dave who invested and brought his own experience, wealth of experience from having worked at South African breweries and learned wonderful operational standards, and be able to bring that discipline into our company all at the same time really set us up in that first phase of investment to push on from that platform.
Tell me about the biggest challenge that you faced over the last 5 years, that point where you wanted to throw it all in.
Luckily, there hasn't been this many. It happens daily.
What's next?
Well, we want to continue doing what we're doing here. We've in South Africa in terms of our international markets and continue to develop there. We've just recently launched a sports drink, which brings the same philosophy, brand and product philosophy, no colorants, no preservatives. And we've taken a very scientific approach to create what we believe is a phenomenal sports drink. And we've just launched that into the South African market now. We're very excited about its prospects. And that will keep us busy here locally. And internationally, we maybe will add every year a couple of territories if we're lucky, if we find the right partners. And we're not looking, I think we're looking we look at stretches ahead. We don't look too far ahead and really handle what we're doing now. But we're in a fantastically exciting period for our business. This trend we talked about earlier in the interview of moving towards health, it really is kicking in. You see that in the kids now. If you go to a school, we outsell Coca-Cola in a lot of our schools. The kids today are much more health aware, and you can really see that consumption patterns and habits are going to really shift over time, and we're in a fantastic position to benefit from that.
That was Grant Rushmere, founder of BOS Iced Tea, and this was the Entrepreneurial Edge. Thank you for watching. See you again next week.